This is the Business Makers Show, heard here and seen online at thebusinessmakers.com. It's guest time on the show, and I'm in California at the Governor's Small Business and Entrepreneurship Conference, and my guest is Brian Tippens, Director, HP Global Supplier Diversity. Brian, welcome to the Business Makers Show.
Thanks for having me, Russ.
You bet. Well, let's start by you telling us, what does the Director of Global Supplier Diversity do at HP?
Sure, happy to. So I lead a program in HP that exists to enable access to a certain amount of revenue by ensuring that underrepresented businesses have a quality of opportunity to do business with HP. Lead a small team that does this on a global basis for HP. And what that's about is maintaining an inclusive supply chain, working with organizations that support small business, minority-owned business, women-owned business, a list of other disadvantaged categories to ensure, again, a quality of opportunity to do business with HP as a supplier or reseller partner. We've got a great story to tell. We've been doing this for about 30 years in some form or fashion in HP, and it's a program we're very proud of.
Well, cool. Well, I find it very fascinating. I mean, we have a lot of people in our audience that are small business people trying to get to be big business people for sure. But I'm just curious, do some of these opportunities end up being sort of a competitive thing from a small business or a minority-owned business versus a huge Fortune 500 company?
Sure, definitely. I think that really goes to the heart of how we manage our program. You know, I talked about equality of opportunity in our supply chain, so it's not about set-asides or affirmative action. It's really about creating that pipeline into our broad procurement processes across the board. We don't carve out any areas of spend and say, this is the small business category, or this is the diverse category. We simply advocate for those types of businesses to get them the right level of visibility. And so what generally happens is, just as you say, in many cases, the small businesses may be going up against the big guys, which could be, of course, daunting for them at times, but not prohibitive. You know, small businesses, we found, bring some unique value. You know, HP is a company that was very much built around innovation and ideas and new creativity, and small businesses are frequently better positioned to do that, to bring those new, fresh ideas than the big guys are. And so while many times they are going head-to-head, again, it's not prohibitive, and we've managed to have some great small business success stories.
Well, I'm curious. I mean, how important is this to HP? I mean, is it like a board-level initiative? Is it part of the annual report?
It's hugely important to HP at a very high level in the company. It's something we are very transparent about. It doesn't appear in the annual report, but appears in a very similar report that we generate every year called our Global Citizenship Report. And in that report, we lay out our performance retrospectively rather, looking back at the past year. How do we perform against the goals we set? What are some of our great success stories? But we're also very transparent going forward and saying these are the goals we're going to set for ourselves going forward. And the reason it is so important to us at a board level at HP, at a very high level inside the company on a global basis, is because it's not just a corporate social responsibility initiative. It's not just a right thing to do. For us, it's a business imperative, and we feel we're in a unique position to leverage our diversity leadership, leverage our small business leadership to win in the marketplace, because we've got those unique ideas from the small businesses, because we're able to support the diversity and small business goals of our customers. We bring some unique value. At the end of the day, we think helps enable access to revenue for HP.
Okay. Well, it is very honorable and a neat thing, but I suppose, I mean, like any business initiative, it doesn't work 100% of the time, does it?
Exactly. Yeah, there are definitely some challenges, especially in this economic environment. You know, HP, like any other corporation, is constantly going through a reevaluation of its supply chain, going through supplier rationalization, supplier consolidation initiatives. And as we take a look at our supply chain, naturally some suppliers are going to get displaced, and in some cases it means those small businesses that may have a great local story or regional story but not be able to meet the needs of an HP, a multinational, on a global level. And so it's very competitive, doesn't always work, and so that's what keeps me employed. That's why we've got a team that's actively working to outreach to potential suppliers to HP, to ensure we've got that pipeline of potential small businesses, but also equally working with the HP procurement community to ensure those businesses that are quality and ready to do business within HP have the level of visibility that they need. Right.
Sounds like at some point in time, just the real world of real business starts playing.
Exactly, exactly, on a daily basis.
Okay, now that's cool. Now, diversity. I mean, diversity could mean minority-owned. It can mean female-owned. Does it go beyond that?
It really does, and goes beyond that even here in the United States. But it's those categories primarily that you mentioned, ethnic minority-owned, women-owned, and then there's another list of the federal government qualifications of small business, veteran-owned small business, which gets a lot of attention, service-disabled small veteran businesses, which also is a huge priority for us. But as we grow and expand and take our good story in the United States and look to expand outside the states, there's differing definitions of diversity in other geographies as well. It may be First Indian Nation-owned businesses in Canada. It may be Aboriginal-owned businesses in Australia. It's whatever happen to be those qualifications, generally due to some history of inequality in corporate supply chains. But we're taking what we do in the States and saying, if it's the right thing to do here, it's the right thing to do everywhere. It can add value to our supply chain anywhere, and so we're actively growing to expand that.
Well, Brian, I find this incredible, the commitment that HP seems to be making. Are there new things that are happening in the area?
I think one of the major new developments is that the fact that we're constantly reevaluating what qualifies as a disadvantaged group for purposes of supplier diversity. And the idea is certainly around some historical basis of lack of representation in corporate supply chains, and we talked about how that differs from geography to geography. In the States, there's a lot of momentum over the last couple of years around a fairly new category for us from a supplier diversity standpoint, and that's the LGBT community, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community. It's being led largely by the financial services business, some of the retail businesses, and there's a new organization, fairly new, it's been around for a few years now. We're new as a corporate sponsor of this organization, the NGLCC, National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. Incredible momentum over the last couple of years with lots of very strong corporate members and doing a lot to advocate for LGBT-owned businesses and corporate supply chains.
That's fascinating, for sure. That's really interesting, because I don't know, in federal law, it's just now sort of becoming a real class, right? But you guys are sort of out ahead of that.
Which is not unusual. I think in a lot of ways, supplier diversity was initially, in the early days, when it was very much compliance at its core, driven by regulations, the must-do. But as it's progressed, it's really the corporations in a lot of ways that are leading the charge, and it's largely based on their customer base, their employee bases, their supply chain bases, and we're definitely leading the charge in this area as well.
Okay. Well, now you got my curiosity up. How big is the amount of business that HP does now in these diverse groups?
In supplier diversity, we're lucky to be one of the few companies, or handful of companies, that spends over $1 billion in the United States each year with minority and women-owned businesses. Beyond those categories, in the area of small business, the numbers in the several billions of dollars with small businesses regardless of ethnicity or woman ownership. And that puts us in a leading position, but we always feel like we could do better and that there's more to do.
Do large corporations, is there a ranking system even on who does more?
There really isn't. There's an organization, of course, all organizations will track this, and companies will sort of compare numbers, but there's no ranking across the board.
I bet there will be at some time.
You would think so, and hopefully we rank high.
Well, I think it seems like you got a lot of momentum going. Now, with that quantity of business, and you and your staff plays a role in selecting all of these people that do business with HP?
Not necessarily having a hand in selecting. We're a fairly small core team at HP. We're a team of 10, which is charged with driving the strategy and the processes and the plan for supplier diversity across HP. But at the end of the day, it's everyone who owns a penny of spend in every procurement organization inside HP that owns ensuring that we consider these classifications of business and every opportunity where it's feasible, that really at the end of the day own the execution of this. And so our team drives the policy, performs the outreach, but we don't have a hand in every single decision. Luckily, we've got, it's a commonly said, a little bit trite to say it's in our DNA, but it really is in our DNA as a corporation.
And I know you office in Houston. Are all 10 there in Houston?
No, we're spread out a bit. My office in Houston, we have one employee there. We've got a representative here in Northern California, another in North Texas in the Dallas area. We've got a small team of 5 who sit in the Herndon, Virginia area, largely because we do so much business with the U.S. federal government, are constantly working to expand our footprint there. And there's some unique nuances of doing small business to reporting with the federal government. So we've got a good portion of the team there. So we're spread out very well.
Now, are you the first director of HP, this diversity program, or was there a predecessor?
There was a predecessor. There's probably been a few, because our program's been around in some fashion for about 30 years. Started primarily as a U.S. small business program, but has grown and morphed over the years. I'm proud to say that in the 5 years that I've been had the luxury of leading the team, that we've grown and expanded, begun to expand internationally with some dotted line members of the team, and done some really good things.
Okay. So what did you do before heading up the diversity program there?
So I've been in this role, like I say, about 5 years, but been with HP for 10 years in total. So my training was in the law. In fact, I attended law school here in California, not far from where we are here in Sacramento, and occupied primarily legal roles at HP. But even as I did, I always was very active in my community, loved to represent HP externally. So when this opportunity came up, it seemed like sort of the best of both worlds. I honestly think I have the best job at HP.
Oh, wow.
I have one of those rare doing well by doing good jobs that are hard to find in corporate America. I think we're able to achieve a business purpose. Again, we enable revenue for HP, which is a great thing, but at the same time, we're able to create opportunity for small business, which is very rewarding.
So that must mean you not desirous of going back and doing what you were doing before and kind of represent
not too soon, yeah. So I know that I'll probably go back someday, but right now I really enjoy what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the opportunity we're able to create. So I think I have a little bit more life left in me in this role.
Continuing on with Brian Tippens, Director, HP Global Supplier Diversity Program. And I know that you're here today at the Governor's Conference on Small Business and Entrepreneurship here in California. The governor himself's going to be here, right?
Looking forward to it, yeah.
And you're kind of here for multiple reasons. I mean, it fits your program diversity, and you're also a huge partner with the Business Matchmaking Initiative as well. And but this one seems a little unique just because California seems to be hurting perhaps a little bit more than other states.
Definitely. There's a bit of a unique flavor. I think it's alike in some ways. You know, we sponsor business matchmaking and a number of initiatives that bring those small businesses, those potential suppliers to HP into one room so we can kind of work to build that pipeline, do some pre-screening and vetting. I think what's different about this one and responsive to what you said about the particular hurt in California is that there's an incredible learning and training content to tomorrow. Throughout the day, you know, the highlight is certainly going to be the luncheon panel with the governor, but around
of which you are a member of the panel.
Looking forward to being a part of. Yeah, it'll be myself, the governor. I should say, I shouldn't start with myself. It'll be the governor.
Governor Schwarzenegger.
Exactly. Financier, philanthropist Michael Milken. California small business owner Monica Mantilla, and also myself. Having what I think will be a very fruitful discussion about the future of California's economy. I'm looking forward to that. And that's definitely the core, the center of the day. But wrapped around that on either end is a series of breakout sessions. There's going to be 10 in the morning, 10 in the afternoon on areas such as starting your business, selling to corporations, selling to government, innovation, greening your business. And so to your point, a lot of training content. So everyone who attends tomorrow will walk away with something new, some value that they can take to grow their own business, and ideally kind of bridge that economic gap.
Great. Okay. Brian, before I let you go, let's say we have a business person listening right now who is sort of excited about your program and wants to learn more and get in touch with you. How do they do that?
The easiest way would be to visit our website. Very simple. It's just hp.com/go/supplier diversity. Once again, hp.com/go/supplier diversity, or send an email to supplierdiversity@hp.com. Very easy to reach us, and also through business matchmaking or through the radio program, we're very accessible and want to hear from the small businesses out there.
Great. Brian, I really appreciate you sharing what you do with us.
Thank you very much. I appreciated the opportunity.
You bet. That's Brian Tippens, Director, HP Global Supplier Diversity. And you're listening to the BusinessMakers Show, heard here and seen online at thebusinessmakers.com.